Cali X Boxing 2.0 here. Boxing fans speaking to other boxing fans about how we can further our agenda as boxing fans. This is a no fanager zone, so don't hit me with any fanager talking points. And before we go any further, hit that sub button and hit the alert so you know when the podcast goes live. I'm not a fan of this topic, and I haven't talked about it much on this channel, but quick observation here. And this is just quick pushback, light work, to the false propaganda, the false narratives being pushed out there by the PBC crew on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, here on YouTube, that Bud needs Errol more than Errol needs Bud for legacy. And this isn't directed at Errol Spence or the level-headed Errol Spence out there, fans out there, like myself, by the way. This is directed at the Errol sexuals, the LGBTQ+ channels who are pushing these false narratives for clicks and super chats, etc. First disclaimer, legacy-wise, this would be a hit for both fighters if this fight didn't come off. But history would not be kind to the A-side Errol Spence if his team, after saying for years that Bud needed to cross the street, and he crossed the street and they still couldn't deliver the fight, we would all know who most of the blame for the fight not happening would fall on. On top of that, Bud Crawford is a multi-division champion and, by the way, undisputed at 140, a feat that Errol Spence has not pulled off yet in his career. Yet another point, Errol Spence Jr. has never been viewed by the boxing public or pundits as #1 pound for pound in the world. Bud Crawford has numerous times and throughout several different years as the guy who could possibly be #1 pound for pound king in the sport of boxing. And furthermore, Bud Crawford has been on the Ring Magazine pound for pound list for 404 weeks. He's been on the damn pound for pound list since the Obama administration. This is a lengthy pound for pound run. To put that in perspective, the next closest to him on this list would be Lomachenko at 346 weeks, Naoya Inoue at 284 weeks, Errol Spence at 281 weeks. No one comes close to this type of pound for pound run by Bud Crawford. My point isn't that Bud Crawford's legacy is more secure than Errol's just because he's been on the pound for pound list longer. My point here is Bud Crawford has been on the pound for pound list for so much longer than any of his other peers of his era. That type of dominance and consistency cannot be overlooked. Furthermore, again, a good judge of how great a fighter is how their peers in and around their weight class view them. How your peers in and around your weight class view you is also a good gauge of how great a fighter is and the legacy of such fighter. Boots went the IBF route. Virgil went the WBA route. Both routes that lead to Errol Spence Jr. and stay away from the WBO route, which is the Bud Crawford route. How do your peers view you? More pushbacks on these lazy narratives to come.